Yo, farm CEOs. My name is Gilbert Mwale, and I'm so glad to be talking to you again. Now, somebody asked me a very interesting question, which is to say that should we actually introduce agriculture, as a mandatory subject for everybody, starting from when people are still probably maybe in grade one, going up, so that every one of us literally knows, you know, the ways of doing agriculture. And that is obviously as a response of looking at the level of results that are coming from the kind of production that most people that are owning farms have. So the thought line for them was, would we do better if we actually started off in grade one knowing about this issue? And I love that question because it's a genuine concern towards solving the problem of food security in the nation and beyond. Though my response to that was a resounding no. That is not going to be a good idea. It won't work the way we want it to work, because that is not what the problem is with the current production situation. Is that it's not the responsibility of the owner of the farm to be an agriculturist. They can be, but they don't have to be. And it's not on the premise that whether they are or not that will determine whether they will actually have the best results out of their farm. I was talking to a client the other time who actually informed me to say, they are into ranching and all these other things. And they said, look, we actually have neighbors around us who are retired people from the Ministry of Livestock and Agriculture. And yet, a number of them do come to our farms to actually come and check how we are doing things, because they are actually struggling. There is a case in point right there. And we can definitely point to several other professions that then, if we're going to do that to agriculture, are we then going to introduce medicine, for every person starting from grade one? I mean, I believe agriculture production is as good as, staying healthy. So then if we're saying, if we're going to all stay healthy, should we introduce, anatomy courses that are found in medicine at the medicine degree? Should we introduce them starting from grade one, so that we know how to be healthy all the way from that level, how to treat ourselves, not just the idea of eating right and eating the right food, the right nutrients and all those things, but real medicine conversations. Should we introduce it at grade one? Emphatically no. You would agree with me that that is a bad idea. So what should we be doing then? The point for me is that if you are going to have a farm run, not necessarily say perfectly well, but so good, like a business it's supposed to be, is that you need to introduce on your farm people that are capable of doing the job. And I'll keep on falling back on this. Agriculture itself is a science, and it being a science is that you need somebody that understands the science on the team. It doesn't have to be you, the farm owner, or it could be. But if you don't want to be the one, you can actually bring in somebody to come and supervise the rest of the team. And this person should know what, the science of agriculture is, meaning that they should have done animal science, crop science, apiculture, aquaculture, any of these things from school, where they have gotten to understand the deeper and intricate things on how these animals or livestock or particularly crops are taken care of. So if you have that kind of person on the farm and you give them the right routines on how to do work, then you have the right ingredients on how to be able to do remote farming comfortably in a successful manner. So it's not about starting, or all of us. In fact, I actually say that if our children, meaning that anybody who is 10 years old right now, if they are going to do agriculture the way we have done it, then they are already doomed for the next 30 to 50 years. First of all, as individuals and as a nation, because we have gotten it wrongly. We, as the owners of the farm, don't necessarily need to be the person that knows it all. So you don't need to know every way of actually, everything about cattle, everything about goats, everything about sheep, everything about poultry, everything about tomatoes, everything about onions. If you are in that space, that's okay. But if you are not, yours is to understand the business of the enterprise or the line of activity that you are going to be involved in on the farm. That is your responsibility as a farm CEO, to know whether you are going to make profit, figure out where to raise money from for operational costs, and expansion, which is capital costs, and then also find market, who's buying these things, and then raise a good team. These are things that are your responsibility as a farm CEO. And then obviously have ideas, have ideas of how everything is going. But if you set up the right, targets, key performance indicators on your farm, without being a guru at all those enterprises in terms of the science component, you can know whether you are losing or winning. For those of us that watch football, we have a lot of people that are pundits of football that have never played it. They just studied the game, just watched the game several times. And when you come and watch football, you don't need to know too much to know who's winning. All you have to do is look up on top mostly, or somewhere at the bottom there, or at the top there. You will see something interesting, is that you will see there will be a flag for the other country and a flag for another country, or a badge for one team and a badge for another team, and there will be numbers that will be showing. Every damn person out there, you don't have to be very smart. If you see 1 and you see a 0, you typically know that the people whose jersey looks like this are actually winning. And as long as this stays the same until it's 90, when the game finishes, then you know they have won. So in that manner as well, as farm CEOs, you need a scoreline that looks like that. That whether you are an expert at football, you have never played football in any way, when you look at that scoreline, you know that whether these are onions, these are goats, this is cows, or whatever it is that you are doing in agriculture, you will know that I am actually winning or losing. So, remote farming is something that is very doable, and I would like to encourage all of us that if this is something that you are working on very strongly, let me hear your thoughts. Send a comment, send a DM, like and subscribe so that you can get some more of these messages. And thank you to everybody that has actually done that already. You are actually fueling us more in sharing a lot of information on how all of us can participate in remote farming, which is very possible, and you don't have to be the expert as the owner. Thank you.